Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters, and this is it. Royal Rumble weekend has arrived, which means that officially the road to WrestleMania begins this Sunday with the Royal Rumble. Hello, everybody, I'm Bill Yankovi, and this week on the program, going to be previewing this Sunday's Royal Rumble event, taking a look at each and every match taking place at the Royal Rumble and making predictions, including the two Royal Rumble matches that will take place, and had a poll up. We'll be talking about what our Facebook fans thought or who they think will win this year's Royal Rumble matches, respectively. Plus, going to be talking about WWE going to Peacock, and I'm going to give my thoughts on a topic that's been going on as of late in the world of wrestling, and that is the topic of wrestlers being soft. Going to talk about that here this week. Before I begin, I want to take a moment of time to mention the passing of a good friend of mine, Michael Lamontia, who passed away on Wednesday. He was a wrestling fan, was a WWE guy. I don't know if he, watched AEW, so I can't say that he was more than just WWE, but he was a wrestling fan. I first got to know Michael a little over 10 years ago through another friend of mine, and we played fantasy sports, all of them. Football, that was the big one. Football was the big one to him. Baseball, basketball, and hockey were his the main ones. But he also had a special place for wrestling, and he was a very knowledgeable fan, a very good fan of professional wrestling. I'll be honest, it's still a little struggle for me to come up with the words, because he passed away a couple days ago. This was sudden. Out of respect for his wife, Erin, I'm not going to mention what he had, but it was very brief, and we lost a good person this week. Obviously, right now my thoughts go out to Erin, his wife, his friends, his family, the people that he loved. And he was quite a guy. I got to talk to him a bunch of times, basically via Facebook. And he was, one of those guys who, cared. And once he cared about you for life. And I think that's something that we should all as people strive to do, and that is care about people for life, our friends, our family. And the world's a little quiet now without Michael, and again, my thoughts, my prayers go out to his wife Erin, his friends, his family. I know he would have been excited for this weekend being Royal Rumble weekend. I know he would have been prepared for the Rumble. He would have been, getting pumped up about it. So I'm just hoping that this weekend, this Sunday at the Royal Rumble, is a very good Royal Rumble. And Michael, I know you're up there. Maybe if you can work a little deal or two up there with the big promoter in the sky, please, if you can, make this Royal Rumble a heck of a show on Sunday, because I really think, you would have enjoyed the Royal Rumble, even if it sucked. I think you would have enjoyed it. Like I said in my post the other day that I wrote, this isn't goodbye. This is I'll see you later. And I will see you again down the road. And when we do, I will still make fun of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I will still mess around with you about how the Washington football team basically ruined the Pittsburgh Steelers season, and talk about how the Pittsburgh Pirates haven't been relevant in about 30 years. But I know you're, that's a joke, man. That's a joke. Be thinking of you, missing you. We'll see you again one day. Now, what Michael would want me to do right now is talk about the news, and there is one news this week, one story this week that is bigger than any other news story. And that is that the WWE Network has been sold to Peacock. This happened earlier in the week, and the deal is 5 years for $1 billion. You heard that right. I said a B in there. Billion. B-I-L-L-I-O-N. Billion. And the move is going to take place around the middle of March, with the first live event that they stream on Peacock being Fastlane, which will be on March the 21st. There have been words going on, I guess, the week before. ESPN, I know, was in the running to get the network, but eventually that fell through, and because of this, and I can understand ESPN being upset, but I think this is a little petty as well. ESPN is no longer going to cover WWE on their live shows. So I kind of understand, but at the same time, I think it's a little petty, but again, that's just me. So all the content is going to be moved from WWE Network to Peacock. One of the big advantages, I think, to WWE moving to Peacock is to actually the subscribers. Because let's say you don't have Peacock right now, but you have the WWE Network. And by the way, this is for the US only. This is not for everywhere around the world. If you live in England, it's going to stay WWE Network. If you live in France, it's going to stay WWE Network. Basically, if you do not live in the United States, it is staying the WWE Network. It is only here in the United States. So, with Peacock, one of the advantages that I think subscribers or people that are not subscribed to WWE Network, that may be thinking about it, that want to go to Peacock, besides having, the shows and the movies and all that, is the pricing. For WWE Network, it is, well, I don't have to beat it into your brain. You all know what it is, $9.99. But on Peacock, they will offer free content, and that is all their pay-per-view shows and network content will be free. Now, they have two other tiers. The most expensive one is the $9.99 tier, which is no advertising at all. But then there's this other one, the middle one. Let's say, okay, you like what you see, but you want more. But you don't want to pay the $9.99. You could deal with the commercials. $4.99. That's how much you'd pay for Peacock. $4.99. And the other benefit to this is, if you're a WWE Network subscriber and you already have Peacock, you don't have to pay twice. You're going to get Peacock. So you only have to pay once. for the $4.99 a month, or if you have the $9.99 a month, the $9.99 a month. As of New Year's Eve, Peacock had 33 million signups. So that's a very good number right there. What I think could happen, and I know it's not going to happen a lot, but I could see people who maybe were like, I don't want to pay $9.99 for WWE Network. $4.99 might help. Free might help the WWE Network. And in the end, this is going to help WWE because it's going to get them 5 years for $1 billion. So they're going to get over $200 million a year for the next 5 years. What I would like to see, personally, what I would like to see them do personally, or Peacock. The one thing that WWE promised, when they started this, was, we're going to have it original, it's going to be unedited, blah, blah, blah. But yet the music has always been a thing. That's always been a problem. Your NBC/Universal, pardon me. You're one of the biggest conglomerates in the world. Why don't you push the money over a little bit and pay for the rights to the songs? Let's hear Eye of the Tiger. Let's hear Enter Sandman. Let's hear, different theme songs from the 2000s. Let's hear all of this. Let's hear Another One Bites the Dust. Let's hear these songs. Instead of going to either generic music or using WWE themes that they wouldn't have, certain wrestlers wouldn't have for a long time, why not do that? You're NBC. You have the money. You can do this. I believe in you, Peacock. I believe in you that you could get that done. Will it happen? Not really sure. But I will say this, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of days. I want to do something fun with when Peacock starts WWE Network, or when they get it. I'm going to probably do a special recording for whenever I get to it. And I'm going to watch the first thing I saw on the WWE Network on Peacock. And it'll be a watch-along recording. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because this is 8 years ago. So I want to surprise everybody. So let's have fun with that when we get to it. So when it gets closer, I'll let you guys know when that special is going to take place. And we're just going to go on with it. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a couple guests join me. I'm not really sure. But as far as the Peacock move, Vince just gets richer. Let's just call it as it is. Vince McMahon got richer again. And he did it through NBC. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe somewhere down the line, somebody buys WWE from NBC. You never know. Never know. All right. The other topic that I want to talk about before getting into the Royal Rumble, and I do want to talk about this because this has been a topic, a conversation piece for a little while. It is something the Undertaker said not too long ago that has raised the attention of not only wrestling fans, but the wrestlers themselves. So, not too long ago, The Undertaker appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast. And during the podcast, The Undertaker made a comment basically saying that the wrestlers today are soft. And it's a very interesting piece because the way he said it, or one part of it where he said was, when I was in the business, all the wrestlers in the back had guns and knives. The wrestlers today have video games. They're soft. All right, now before I say anything, let's just say this: Undertaker wrestled for 30 plus years. 30 plus years. Went all over the world. Saw probably some crazy crap back in the day. And there were guys, you know, the Bruiser Brodies, the Dick Murdochs, the Hakus, the Harley Races of the world that were tough, you know, legitimate tough guys. And, you know, maybe some of them carried a weapon or two here or there in case, you know, they had to defend their life from a rabid fan who was at the show that night and was like, I'm going to kill this guy because he hurt my favorite wrestler. Goldberg agreed with The Undertaker. And basically, Goldberg's quote, and this is only one line: I don't think things could go like they did back in the day in the current day. Then he would go on to say, when you hear the comments about me coming back and doing 1 or 2 matches a year, how people are like, he doesn't deserve it, he never paid his dues, he was never on the road, and these people are on the road. Hey man, people forget very quickly what all of us did back in the day to earn the spot we are in the now. And I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world. But he would add, but yes, I believe comparatively the business is soft. But the business is in 2021. So things have to change and things have to be different. Okay, that's Goldberg's thoughts. And you know what? I'm actually going to defend Goldberg. Because I watched Goldberg. I saw his first match on Nitro when I was 12 years old, when he upset Hugh Morris. Because Hugh Morris had a winning streak going on before he meets Bill Goldberg on Nitro, and Bill Goldberg beats him in an upset. And that's how the streak began. And you know how, and you know why Bill Goldberg, you know, people are like, oh, he didn't pay his dues. Yes, he did. He went to the WCW power plant. He went to one of the toughest places to train to be a professional wrestler. The WCW power plant. That, when you watch the videos, when you watch the clips, that is not elementary school. You bust your butt, or you did back in the day. And not many people made it through the power plant. But Goldberg did. Goldberg was on the road. He was on the road. Yeah, there were weeks that he wasn't on TV, but he was on the road. He was. So, I think for people to say Goldberg didn't earn anything, he didn't earn his spot, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, I'm sorry, but the man did. He did. So, I will defend Goldberg on that. Now, Mick Foley, on the other hand, who wrestled with The Undertaker, but didn't wrestle Goldberg, even though they were in the same time, he had a tweet. And this is his tweet. Today's professional wrestlers are every bit as tough as the wrestlers of my era were. Just my opinion. Okay. See, Mick Foley, right there. Tough guy. So, here's my thinking on this. And I really haven't said anything. None of my friends have asked me about this, so this is kind of a, hey, Bill, what do you think about this? First off, The Undertaker had every right to say what he said. It is his opinion. He is entitled to his opinion. He has a certain thing called the freedom of speech. Remember that? That's one of our big things here in the United States of America. Freedom of speech. If The Undertaker feels that these guys today, and it's not all of them, I don't think he meant all of them, but maybe a lot of them. If he thinks these guys today are soft, then that's how he feels. But where I disagree with him is the notion of, oh, the guys back then were tough because they always carried a gun and they always carried a knife. No. Does he forget how Bruiser Brody was murdered in a locker room in Puerto Rico 32 years ago? And the son of a bitch who murdered him got off a free man? Does he forget that? Or does he know about Ricky Dozan, the godfather of Puroresu, Japanese wrestling? Now, he wasn't stabbed in a locker room, but he was stabbed in a bathroom in the 60s and died. Think about that. You don't need a gun. You don't need a knife to be considered tough. So yes, the wrestlers today, well, okay, the ones on like WWE and AEW and NXT, those places. Okay, yeah, they're playing video games. So what? It's a hell of a lot safer than snorting cocaine up your nose or taking meth in the arm or drinking, 8 cases of alcohol just to get you through the night. These guys are being much safer than the people that were wrestling before them. So let's say Xavier Woods and King Corbin are playing a video game and Baron Corbin beats Xavier Woods. Is Xavier Woods going to get upset to the point that he goes and does heavy amounts of drugs to get over the pain? No. Is Xavier Woods going to be so mad about Baron Corbin beating him at a video game that he's going to pull out a .38 special and shoot the man in the stomach? No, he's not. We've grown in this society, in wrestling, as far as how, we relax, how we have fun. And look, if I was a wrestler, I'd rather be doing something that'll make, that'll take my mind off, make me feel comfortable, make me feel easy. I'm not going to bring a gun. I'm not going to, make someone dance, shoot at their feet and dance, or threaten them with a knife, go like, dance for me or else I'm going to stab you. No. The times change. That's what it is. Times change. And I think that's another problem that wrestling fans have. And I'm saying this in general. This isn't to anyone in particular, but this is in general. We as fans have to evolve with the times. There are people all the time that are like, oh, I miss the Attitude Era. Oh, I miss the days of Hogan and Savage and Warrior. Okay, I understand. I respect your opinion. But you know what? We can love the past all we want, but we gotta, stay with the current. We gotta go with the present. And if you don't evolve, you're not gonna survive. So, really, all I'm saying is, while I respect Undertaker's opinion, and I understand where he's coming from, the wrestlers today are not soft. They are not soft. They are finding ways, number one, to relax, enjoy themselves in a healthy way. It's like I don't know how many of you ever saw the E60 bit on Scott Hall years ago. And the reporter in the beginning of the segment was like, back in the day of Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and Randy Savage, the way they, relaxed was drink booze and do drugs. Now the wrestlers today are playing video games and making videos. Okay, so what's the big freaking deal? What is the big deal? And then the other thing, Goldberg saying, some of these, a lot of these guys wouldn't make it. I'm sorry. You take a look at that roster today. A lot of those wrestlers, the Kevin Owenses, the Daniel Bryans, the Kenny Omegas, the Eddie Kingstons of the world, they traveled town to town. They went to the small towns. They went to dangerous towns. They went around the world to wrestle. And you're telling me those guys couldn't survive back 30 years ago? I'm sorry. They can. They really, really can. So, I'm just going to say it as this. I think this is a big overreaction. The Undertaker, like I said, right to his opinion, but even though he is right to his opinion, and I'm sure there are going to be those who think, oh, Undertaker's right, he's absolutely right, I'm going to respectfully disagree with the man. I'm going to respectfully disagree and say these wrestlers today are not soft. These guys are just smarter. Alright, well, I'm probably going to get a lot of people screaming at me this week, but, I do want to mention real quick, before going into the Royal Rumble, this Wednesday night is a big night for AEW Dynamite. It is their Beach Break show, headlined by a big 6-man tag team match, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against Jon Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix, plus a tag team battle royal, Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer in a lumberjack match, and the wedding of Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian. That's a heck of a card, actually, for Wednesday night. So, that should be a pretty good show there. Also want to mention briefly a couple of quick news. Pardon me. The Bouncers, Brian Malonis and the Beer City Bruiser, have re-signed with Ring of Honor, so they're going to be still in Ring of Honor for a while. Good job for them. And Wade Barrett became today a citizen of the United States of America. He sent out this tweet saying, "Today, after 13 and a half years of living in this great nation, I have been granted citizenship of the USA. Thank you for embracing this Englishman. World Cups aside, I will continue to support you in everything you do. To life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Cheers." All right, way to go, Wade Barrett. Way to go. All right. Now, it is time for the Royal Rumble preview. it is this Sunday. Kickoff show is at 6 o'clock, so it's not going to be your 2 hours. It's still the 1 hour, thank goodness. As of right now, there are 5 matches set for the Royal Rumble this Sunday. So, going to go through the non-Royal Rumble matches first, and then we're going to get to the Royal Rumble matches. And, yes, folks, I have my stats with me to help you be ready for this Sunday's Royal Rumble. Okay, so we're going to start off with the newest match that was announced this week. The Women's Tag Team Championship will be defended. Asuka and Charlotte Flair defend against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. This is their rematch for the Women's Tag Team titles. This is an interesting scenario, because you have Charlotte, who is dealing with Lacey Evans. I wish I could take those words back, but that is true. And Shayna and Nia are kind of focused on the Royal Rumble. However, I think the whole Lacey-Charlotte thing is going to outweigh Shayna and Nia's troubles. So I say we're going to have new women tag team champions. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax will regain the women's tag team titles this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. The WWE Championship is on the line as Drew McIntyre will defend the title against Goldberg. Oh boy, this could go many ways. I know the fear in a lot of people is Goldberg's going to win this match. Goldberg does not lose. But the company's been so high on Drew McIntyre, I don't think they're gonna let Drew lose the WWE title to Goldberg. I really don't. I think Drew McIntyre is going to retain the WWE title. It's going to be an interesting match, but Drew will keep the WWE title. The Universal Championship will be on the line in a last man standing match. Roman Reigns will defend against Kevin Owens. Look, I said it at TLC. I'll say it again. I would love to see KO win the Universal title, but that's just not going to happen. Roman Reigns will retain the Universal title. All right, so before we get to the 2 Royal Rumble matches, I'm a stats guy. I'm just going to call it. I'm a stats guy. And every year I like to update my stats to get ready for the Royal Rumble. So let's start with the Royal Rumble match and the WWE Hall of Fame. With this year's class / last year's class, including Batista, JBL, the British Bulldog, and the Bella Twins, they have updated totals in different years of the Royal Rumble match. 1992 is now tied with 1989 for having the most Hall of Famers in one match. 89 and 92 both have 18 WWE Hall of Fame wrestlers that competed in those Royal Rumbles. Almost 2/3 of the field are in the WWE Hall of Fame. 1990 and 1991 are not that far behind. They each have 17 wrestlers that are in the WWE Hall of Fame. 1993 and 1996 have 13 wrestlers that are in the WWE Hall of Fame that competed in the Royal Rumble. 1997 and 2002, surprisingly 2002, they each have 12 Hall of Famers in their Royal Rumbles. 1988, 1998, 1999, and 2000 each have 11 Hall of Famers that competed in their respective Royal Rumbles. Of the Royal Rumble matches for the men, where there is at least one Hall of Famer, 2013 and last year's men's Royal Rumble have the least number of Hall of Famers. 1. The only men's Royal Rumble match to not have a Hall of Famer in their field of, well, in this case 30, the 2018 Royal Rumble match. They do not have a Hall of Famer yet from their roster of 30. As far as the women go, the first Women's Royal Rumble is the only Women's Royal Rumble to have any Hall of Famers in their field, including the Bella Twins. They have 7 women in the WWE Hall of Fame who competed in a Royal Rumble. Alright, so let's talk about the women. The Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, we were told this week that Saturday on WWE Backstage on FS1, they will announce the first 2 women to enter the Royal Rumble match. We're going to find out who is number 1 and who is number 2. So, as of this recording, here are the women that have declared entry for the Royal Rumble match. Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, Peyton Royce, Bianca Belair, Bayley, last year's winner, Charlotte Flair, looking to be the first to win it twice, Nia Jax, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Tamina, Liv Morgan, and Ruby Riott. So before we get into predictions, let's talk about the women's Royal Rumble stats. Natalya holds the longevity record for being in the Royal Rumble match the longest in one match. She was in the second Royal Rumble match for 56 minutes. That is quite a long, long time. Sasha Banks had the second longest at 54 minutes 46 seconds. Ember Moon third at 52 minutes 23 seconds. 2 of the top 10 spots in the longevity record belong to Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, who went 50 minutes one year, and last year went 27 minutes. As far as total eliminations in the 3 Women's Royal Rumble matches, Charlotte Flair holds the record with 9. Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair are next with 8, just on their one Royal Rumble performance alone. Nia Jax is next at 7. Then you have 4 women, Michelle McCool, Alexa Bliss, Natalya, and Ruby Riott, each with 5 eliminations. And Nikki Bella, Bayley, and Becky Lynch each have 4 eliminations. Those are the top results. Before I make my pick, I'm going to go to our Facebook group and let's see how the fans voted. And we did have comments as well as to who will win the Women's Royal Rumble match. The majority of our fans think Bianca Belair will win the Royal Rumble this year, followed by Alexa Bliss. We had 3 votes that went other, 3 who said Charlotte, 1 for Liv Morgan, 1 for Mandy Rose, and 1 for Nia Jax. Of course, these are the people that the people that were on the poll were already announced for the Rumble. Some of the comments, the one person who voted Liv said Liv Morgan, and another person, I think this is one of the people who actually went with other, left a gif of Rhea Ripley as their pick to win the Royal Rumble. Wow. You know, I think if they had a couple more women in there that were healthy, I'm not saying this is not going to be an interesting Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be one where we don't know who's going to win. I know the majority went with Bianca Belair, and I would be fine with Bianca Belair being the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble match. I think she's really improved over the last year. But I just got a feeling there's someone on this list, or someone that is not on this list, that is going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm going to pick other, and I'm going to agree with the one fan, Jesse Hubner. I'm going to say Rhea Ripley wins the Women's Royal Rumble match. Her time has come to go to the main roster, and this is the way she will do it. All right, now we go from the women to the men. And the men's roster, I gotta say, is a very interesting roster. So let's take a look at the men who are in the Royal Rumble match. Randy Orton, Edge, AJ Styles, Big E, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, Bobby Lashley, Jey Uso, Cesaro, The Miz, John Morrison, Otis, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, and Mustafa Ali. Before we go to the picks, let's go to the stats. The current longevity record holder is Daniel Bryan. His appearance in the Greatest Royal Rumble in 2018, he was in the match for 76 minutes. Rey Mysterio has the second longest time at 62 minutes 12 seconds. Chris Benoit third at 61:31. Bob Backlund fourth, 61 minutes 10 seconds. Triple H fifth at 60 minutes 16 seconds. Jericho 60 minutes 13 seconds. Ric Flair 60 minutes 2 seconds. Roman Reigns 59 minutes 50 seconds, even though half of that time was spent out of the ring. Finn Balor 57 minutes 30 seconds, and a tie for 10th, Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin, 56 minutes 38 seconds. Total eliminations, Kane is the record holder with 44, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at 40, Steve Austin at 36, Triple H, Big Show, Roman Reigns at 32, Braun Strowman at 30, Hulk Hogan, Randy Orton 27. Now this Royal Rumble match. Okay, first off, let's go over the voting results. The majority of our fans on our Facebook group picked Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble. I would have no problem with that, actually, whatsoever. 8 people picked other. 3 people picked Edge. 3 people picked AJ Styles. 2 people picked Big E. 2 people picked Randy Orton to win his 3rd Royal Rumble. And then a vote each for Cesaro, Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Jeff Hardy. As far as comments, Brian. Brian has the WrestleMania squirrel winning the Royal Rumble again. Brian, we've talked about this. I don't think a squirrel can win the Royal Rumble. Sorry. Ted has Stone Cold E.T. winning the Royal Rumble. Adam, this is an interesting pick. Adam has Seth Rollins winning the Royal Rumble. He says him and Reigns at WrestleMania would be the best ratings approach. Very good choice there. Eddie Luckritz says The Rock. Of course, that's been a name that has popped up for a few months. I don't think The Rock's going to be there. I just don't. Ed has RoboCop. Really, Ed? Freaking RoboCop. I still don't get how RoboCop got more votes than Dynamite get. I still don't. And then Bryan changed his pick from the WrestleMania Squirrel to the Marvelous Sea Otter. Alright, now, here you actually have more options than the women as far as who can win it. Edge winning it would be a very good comeback story because he was injured in June. We haven't seen him since. AJ Styles would be a good story because, well, he's been on a roll since being the team captain at Survivor Series. Big E would be an interesting story because, well, he is no longer part of New Day. He's on his own, and he's the Intercontinental Champion. Daniel Bryan, who has never won a Royal Rumble, but yet is so deserving of winning a Royal Rumble. Bobby Lashley, dominating, current U.S. Champion. Jey Uso, Roman Reigns' right-hand man. Shinsuke Nakamura had that performance a few weeks ago in the Gauntlet. There's so many different options you could go with. But I had this one thought. Knowing WWE, just knowing them, I would not be surprised if they do this. Remember earlier I said Drew McIntyre would beat Goldberg to keep the WWE title? I never said it was the end of Goldberg. What I think will happen, Goldberg will lose to Drew McIntyre, but Goldberg will come back later in the night, win the Royal Rumble match. Yep, my pick is Goldberg to win the Royal Rumble match. He will win the men's Royal Rumble match. So basically, for the first time in probably forever, my picks are people not on the current roster of people scheduled to be in the Royal Rumble. That's a scary, scary thought. One more or two more stats I'm going to bring up before I wrap up the show. This is always my favorite thing, and no one really does it except here, as far as I know. The average position of the winners of the Royal Rumble matches. I've been keeping this stat for a long time. The average position for the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match, and you got to think all the way back to 1988. Jim Duggan, Big John Studd, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Yokozuna, Lex Luger, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin. The list goes on and on and on. The average position for the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match is number 20. And for the women, the average position for the winner of the women's Royal Rumble match, number 23. So we'll have to see if the winners of either match come from within the number 20 area and the number 23 area, respectively. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap it up this week for another episode of That Wrestling Show. Let's get into the plugs. If you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/thatwrestlingshow. Or if you have it on your phone, just type That Wrestling Show. You're right there. Join our Facebook group. It is That Wrestling Show fan group. You type that in the search bar and boom, you are right there. And don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/That Wrestling Show. Last night, put up a new edition of That Wrestling Show After Dark with myself and Fro, where we talk about other things outside of wrestling, and one of the things we talked about was streaming services. So you might want to check that out, and it's on the $1 tier. For $1, you get that show, That Wrestling Show After Dark, and on the $3 tier, you will get exclusively the first review of the Royal Rumble, and it will be put up within 24 hours after the show. Patreon.com/That Wrestling Show. Alright, this week on our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast, Joe Murata and Michael Quinn, they discuss what went wrong with the Hulk Hogan Ric Flair build-up for WrestleMania 8. Plus, it is the finale of the Royal Rankings of Best Feuds, and they review an episode of Monday Night Raw, the final episode of Bobby the Brain Heenan on Raw. That is this week on our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Also, check out Greetings from Allentown with Peter Winston. He watches one episode of professional wrestling each week in his own perspective. This week, he watches an episode of NWA Worldwide from August 5th, 1989, the episode where the skyscrapers kill the ding-dongs. And also, check out GFA Live with himself and Keithy Langston as they watch different stuff. They've gone through a lot of great stuff. They watched all 20 volumes of the best of the WWF. Right now, they're, picking in between Coliseum videos and regular shows, and they discuss different scenes from The Karate Kid 2. Check it out. Greetings from Allentown. Check out Juice Pro Wrestling, where this week they interview with Impact Wrestling referee. See, that's how easy it is to say. Brandon Toll, as he discusses Impact on Access TV, his journey as a referee, also baseball and wrestling cards, and much more. That is on Juice Pro Wrestling. Check out Two Fans Review Wrestling Podcast, where this week Travis and Eric review In Your House Seasons Beatings, plus a discussion on PlayStation 1 football games, and Taga Wood, y'all. That is this week on Two Fans Review Wrestling Podcast. And I got a brand new podcast to plug. It is the 24-inch podcast. Join Steve Bennett and Dave Rollins as they discuss everything Hulk Hogan. In this episode, they discuss the 1991 Royal Rumble. Now, where are you going to find 24-inch podcasts? And I'm going to help everyone out. If you're interested in the podcast, you need to type the Sportscasters. That is what it is under. 24-inch podcast does not have its own channel. Type in the Sportscasters, and you will just subscribe and listen to 24-inch podcast. I think you guys will enjoy it. If you're looking for non-wrestling podcasts, check out the Best Pick Movie Podcast with Tom, John, and Jess, as they review each and every Academy Award-winning Best Picture winner in no particular order. This week, they discuss the Best Picture winner of 2014, Birdman. That is this week on the Best Pick Movie Podcast. Plus, Last Stop Penn Station with Carrie Silken and Ian Riccaboni as we go into the life of Carrie Silken. This week, they talk about Ring of Honor, the Super Bowl, classic movies or classic music, and much more. That is this week on Last Stop Penn Station. Also, check out The Castle Vault, a chronological deep dive of Disney animated films powered by Disney+. This week, they review Volume 1 of Pixar Shorts. That is this week on The Castle Vault. Check out Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, where this week they interview longtime singer and studio vocalist Monique Donnelly, who's recorded with Weird Al and toured as a backup singer for the 2019 Strings Attached Tour. That is this week on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. Also, check out Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast where I review each and every South Park episode. This week, I reviewed the Season 11 episode, The Snook. That is this week on Sharks Pond, a South Park podcast. And, oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, on the day of the Royal Rumble, you're going to get a brand new edition of Illuminated, a Royal Rumble podcast. join me and Jim Boy Star for this special. It's gonna be a special 4-part episode, as we're gonna go through not only the upcoming Royal Rumble matches, but we're gonna watch 2 Royal Rumble matches that we've talked about in the past, but we've never seen. This Sunday, it is a watch-along as we watch the Osaka, Japan Royal Rumble from May 1994. That is this Sunday on Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast. All right, next week, oh boy. Next week, I'm going to review the Royal Rumble event, talk about everything that happened there, plus going to make my pick for Super Bowl 55 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll give you my pick for the Super Bowl next week, along with Royal Rumble thoughts. Everybody have a good, safe weekend. If you're on the East Coast, get ready for some snow. We're going to be getting our butts whipped by snow here this week, so have fun there. And come back next week for another episode of Eliminated, or not Eliminated, oh my god. See, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble. For That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters, and get ready to rumble.